Good evening. I'm back once again. And I don't really have any idea what I'm gonna do this evening. I kind of have it in my mind. Lousy? Am I saying that right? Lousy? Hagen. Hagen to you too. You're the first one here this evening. How goes it? Hey, what's up, Arkin? How are you, man? Doing well? Lousy. Russell is fine. Oh, okay. Hey, what's up, Russell? Oh, are you Russell from... Yeah, are you Russell from Discord? Lousy? Yeah, what's up, man? How are you? Are you building your 100th project of the day already? The level of output it sounds like you have in you is pretty unreal. What's up, Dogman? How are you, Dogman? Doing well? Arkin? Good, man. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm doing good. Yeah, no complaints. Just another day. See, Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, so we'll be rolling into the weekend, and yeah, all's well. Lousy. Exhausted? Well, exhausted just means you need more coffee, right? Arkin, I'm going to snort some dark coffee. That does not seem like a healthy thing to do, but to each his own, right? You got to get your caffeine in somehow. That's too funny. Did y'all see, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, there was some talk of it in the Discord today, but did y'all see the internet kind of like went down for a little bit? I guess there was a Google Cloud outage. And ChatGPT was down for a long time, apparently. Which, why would ChatGPT be down? Like, I'd figure they'd be on Azure hardware. Russell just posted in the Discord. He built a whole new GitHub org and a bunch of new node modules today. Well, Russell, your developer productivity far exceeds mine. Let's see, what I worked on today was this. I worked on figuring out how you make authenticated requests to AWS without using an SDK. And it is quite an involved process. They actually have what do they call it? They call it Amazon Signature version 4, AWS Signature 4. And so that's what I spent a large portion of my day doing today is basically seeing what it takes without using an AWS SDK to properly make an authenticated request. So my day was not near as productive as yours, Russell. Lousy. NPM was dead. All my CI/CD pipelines were hanging. Yeah, I just stayed off GitHub today. I didn't really do much on GitHub today. Valelus, you're immediately kicked, bro. I just have like absolute zero tolerance for that kind of language. So, see you later, man. Hope you have a nice life. Arkin Cloudflare and Google Cloud had a downy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cloudflare's outage was a result of Google's outage, I think. I guess Cloudflare has some dependencies on GCP based on what I was reading online, which is kind of crazy. It's just kind of crazy to think about, like, the internet's this really big place, but at the same time, it's also kind of now small. Lousy. Oh, big updates today in VS Code regarding MCP support. I saw that. I actually saw on LinkedIn the GitHub CEO posted about that. GitHub, what's his name? Thomas. Yeah, Thomas. He was posting that now you can. They have a remote. Yeah, right here. Basically, they have a remote GitHub MCP server now, and so you can just put the server URL in there and authenticate. So that's kind of a cool flow. I can see a lot of people wanting to have a similar experience for their MCP server. Lousy built-in MCP debugger and authentication support. Yeah, I think the MCP debugger is cool, but I think the authentication piece is the more important piece, right? Don't you think? Because that was something it seemed like a lot of people were hung up on, were like the security of MCP servers, like the right way to deal with them. Let's see, MCP support for auth. VS Code now supports MCP servers that require authentication, allowing you to interact with an MCP server that operates on behalf of user account for that service. So this is awesome because like recently you've been having to basically stick an API key essentially or some sort of credential in the server configuration. So this is really cool that you can now have authentication on behalf of a user. And obviously it's VS Code, so they're going to make it really nice. Can Internet run on Google Balls? Well, Internet runs on AWS, GCP, and Azure. And I think AWS is bigger than GCP and Azure put together. AWS market share. I'm pretty sure AWS is, 30%. Azure and cloud are only 21 and 12%. According to the Google AI summary. But I mean that's just incredible. You know, what is that? That's over 60% of the infrastructure market belongs to those three guys. So yeah, if you have a hiccup at any one of these people, you're gonna feel it. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Happy Thursday, guys. Happy Thursday to you, Daniel. That's a very nice message to drop in and leave us. Amit, sorry, this came out of nowhere, but I am struggling with deploying my Node.js and Puppeteer-based scraper on Google Cloud. Do you have any idea about that or any best reference resources? Are you just trying to deploy it to like a VM? Is that all you're doing with it, Amit? I don't have much familiarity deploying to GCP. I've primarily deployed to of all the clouds, I primarily used Azure the most. But if you're deploying to a VM, I would think it'd be pretty straightforward, right? Like you want to make sure you have Node installed on that VM. Make sure you get your repo copied over and then npm install, all that good stuff. Assuming you're not like containerizing it or anything. Lousy. I made mine to just use bearer tokens in VS Code and OpenAI MCP clients both worked with it. Nice, very cool. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, bearer tokens would be fine. It's just that ability to have an auth flow instead of having it like hard-coded, right? Like having a hard-coded API key in the server config. Because I know that's what the security people were very concerned that like you just have these credentials stored in plain text in these configuration files. Tired of only 21 and 12%. Yeah, I mean, only, right? Like, that's probably, we don't probably need that modifier anymore. Tim, what's up, dude? How are you? How are exams going, man? It's been a minute, so I'm hoping you made it through all that. Okay, I definitely don't envy you. You know, like, I mean, I would go back to college in a heartbeat, honestly, if school was free, if it didn't cost anything. But yeah, I don't miss the exams. Tim, sick Mike. Oh, you like this? Man, I've had this thing forever. This thing's older than my kids. It was like $50 at Best Buy. Um, I don't know, in like 2012 maybe, 2013, something like that. It's been around for a long time, but it gets the job done. Lousy. Also have Cloudflare WAF limiting access. For what it's worth, MCP over HTTP works via Cloudflare and through Hyproxy. I've never heard of Hyproxy. Hyproxy. It's just another reverse proxy. Nice. Well, it sounds like Russell. It sounds like you have your MCP uh, workflow figured out, which is awesome. Amit, thanks. That's what I wanted to know. Like I was confused between VM, Cloud Engine, App Engine, Cloud Run, what to use and what works best for Scraper. Well, I imagine. Did you say Puppeteer? Yeah. So you're actually going to be using some sort of a headless browser. So you're going to need some amount of resources, and a VM might make the most sense for that case. I'm not familiar with Google Cloud's offerings. Like Azure has the app service, right? Azure obviously has VMs too, but they have the app service that a lot of people use to deploy their stuff on Azure. So I'm guessing Cloud Engine or App Engine or Cloud Run is kind of a similar offering. But maybe start with just a simple VM, right? And you SSH into it, copy your repo over, npm install, npm run, and see how that does. I mean, I think resourcing, if you're running Puppeteer, like resources might be a thing you need to look at and test to see if you have enough horsepower. Yeah, yeah. So I'm super familiar with browser automation. That's what I do as a day job. I primarily use Playwright personally. I think Playwright's the superior browser automation. Um, but I know Puppeteer is pretty popular. Puppeteer is like the forefather of Playwright. Um, but obviously, I think in Playwright's docs they recommend like for every one instance of the browser, they recommend like 2 logical cores. I think is the recommendation. So you might that might be your limiting factor, right? Is like you may just need a VM because you need to be able to like vertically scale that machine to handle whatever load you're placing on it. I'm not 100% certain what exactly your project is, but um, if you're firing up instances of Chrome, you're gonna need some compute. But sounds like a cool project. I've seen a lot of people do cool stuff with web scraping. You know, like what this is actually I bet this is a story not a lot of people know. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of a company called Plaid. They're basically kind of like the go-to developer service for being able to connect to institutions like financial institutions to collect, if you want to be able to collect transactions data or things like that. And a lot of the initial offerings that they had for financial institutions, they used web scraping. Like they would literally just take people's credentials and log into bank websites and scrape off the data. So yeah, for sure, web scraping can be a great way to work around limitations, um, or get access to data that you wouldn't otherwise have access to programmatically. Tired of. So you are QA engineer? Yes, that's what I do for a day job. You can actually see my LinkedIn if you go to my LinkedIn. I've used Cypress. I've used Selenium. Um, I think those are the only other two I've used. But I've used Playwright 20x more than those other tools. I mean, if you're doing something greenfield today with browser automation, Playwright's the way to go, hands down. I will try Playwright. Heard of it, but never used it. Actually, that's a client project for Legion. Oh, nice. Yeah. So, if you're familiar with Puppeteer, like going from Puppeteer to Playwright, it'll be like little to no effort. Like a lot of the APIs will feel familiar. So yeah, you'll have no issue doing that. Afro Jack. Coffee makes me sweat like crazy. I love, but I think I'm sensitive to caffeine. Yeah, that's an unfortunate relationship. So I'm not sensitive to caffeine. Actually, I have when I did my 23andMe, how many ever years ago, it actually said that I am rather insensitive to caffeine. And obviously, you build up a tolerance to it as well. So if you don't drink it very often, you're probably even more sensitive to it. Anise Lunis. It's sometimes illegal though. Yes. So yes, if you if you do go scraping people's sites, you could be violating their policies, terms of service. That is something that is possible. But I think Plaid. I think in Plaid's case, there was some law that was passed post the 08 recession, which basically said that banks had to give customers access to their data, and none of the financial institutions actually had a programmatic way to provide that access. And so Plaid was trying to step in, as I understand it, and try to fill that void. And the simplest way to do it was basically to say, well, these online banks already have, or these banks already have online banking. So to get up and running, we'll just start by taking credentials, logging into the websites, and scraping the page. Since then, obviously, they've become more sophisticated. I think a lot of their connections now are programmatic, but I just think it's wild that like such an important fintech company, right, started heavily reliant on web scraping. It's kind of crazy. Tim, bro can't see my messages, or he did, and I'm just deaf. No, I saw your messages, man. You said also sick mic, and I had said that the mic is super old, but it's done me well. Anise, there's the open banking project. It's gaining traction in the U.S. I've not heard of that, because that's actually a project. That's actually a project that I have sitting that I really, really want to work on. So right now, for the longest time to track my personal finance, I used Mint, and then obviously Mint shut down. What was it, 2 years ago or whatever? And so now I'm using YNAB, but YNAB is $15 a month, and it has a bunch of extra features that I just don't need. And so I'm super interested in sitting down and building like my own version of Mint, and I just haven't done it. So, and I was planning. I thought that I would probably use Plaid to do it. But the open banking project, what's that about? Build and manage secure APIs in compliance with open banking standards worldwide. Interesting. So this is for people who are developing systems for banks, like a standard for them to follow. Is that what I'm getting from this, Anise? Oh no, they have an actual client, and they have an explorer, and they have a tester. Okay, so create a bank. Huh, I need to dig in, Anish, yes, sir. It's a standard API for banks. Okay, I need to dig into this. This is very interesting to me because that's, I actually have it. I think it's in Obsidian. Do I not have Obsidian on this machine? Not yet. I spent like when Mint shut down, I spent a long time like writing out like my own version of Mint that I wanted to build, and I just haven't revisited it. And maybe this is and I was going to use Plaid, but maybe this would be a good alternative to that. Hold on one sec. Let me see if I can find my note on it. Yeah, I called it. This is, I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't know how well this will look on camera, but I called it, can I focus? Focus. Oh, shit. I don't know if you can read that. I called it My Mint. That was the name of the project. I don't know. It's hard to see. It's hard to read on screen, but yeah, basically the idea was to use Plaid to retrieve financial information, Keycloak for the auth, Postgres for the database, Nginx as a proxy, and then containerize the whole thing. Which I don't know if I'd still do it that way today, but something to work on. What's up, Mini Reed? How are you? Josie F1. If you name one of the 6 rookies in the 2025 Formula One season, I'll subscribe. I don't follow Formula One. I don't follow racing really at all. My dad, growing up, my dad really enjoyed watching NASCAR, so I watched NASCAR a lot growing up. Like Dale Earnhardt. Like I remember the day Dale Earnhardt died, like clear as mud, crystal clear. Like I remember coming home and it being on the news and my dad just like dropping to his knees and he couldn't believe it. Like, yeah. I'm not a big F1 guy though. Afro. Yeah, maybe. Tim, yep, just death. Yeah, I mean, I do try to read everybody's messages. Sometimes I miss them though, and I do apologize if I miss your message. It's my bad. All right, well, I don't know what I was going to work on tonight, honestly. Last night we worked on the React Router project. That was fun. I also have the citations thing that I'm trying to add to that library, that Anthropic API library that we need to work on some more. But I kind of, before I sat down tonight, I was kind of looking at the calendar, and it is officially like we're halfway through the year, right? And Advent of Code is going to start 5 months roughly, right? 12/1. So, and what we had talked about, or what I had talked about was this year for Advent of Code, I'd really like to do it in a language other than C#, like a newer language. So I need to start dedicating some time to learning that language. And so I think I'm going to try to focus more in on Go. And so I think I might do a little bit of Go right now. Arc and Nuxt project. And we need to do Nuxt. There's so many things we need to try, but the fact is that if I don't put in some time on learning Go, Advent of Code is going to show up and I'm going to be useless. I'm not going to be able to do it. All right, so but I'm trying to think of what the best, like I don't really want to build projects, like I more just want to learn the language. I don't even remember where I was last time. I think I did do the web development stuff. I did the learn Go by example. But I'd really like to just follow their documentation, honestly. Building a CLI might be kind of cool. I think I've done some of this though already. Create a Go module, I've done that. I've done this. I've done the error handling. I mean, I almost feel like I need to just solve a problem. You know, like I hate to say it, like I almost need like elite code. Is what I feel like I need. Engineer Muhammad, I like your username. I particularly like the coffee in the username. I'm gonna go. That makes me want to go to your channel, man. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hello. What are you coding? Right now, I'm not coding anything. We've been working on some random stuff across streams. Um, you know, we've been doing like we have a React router project that we started like a couple weeks ago. I just got done working on a Discord bot. Yeah, we just kind of all over the place. But tonight, I think I might actually spend some time trying to improve my Go skills. Arkin, can you say what Advent of Code is and why everyone talks about it and have GitHub repos about it? So Advent of Code is just something that happens every year in December for like the first 25 days in December. And every day they publish a puzzle, basically kind of like a LeetCode code problem, but it's like Christmas themed, and there's typically a storyline that goes along with it. It's fun. It's just fun, and it's a good way to kind of like if you like to code and you like to solve problems, it's just a fun activity, and then it's festive, right? It's on theme for that time of the year. And yeah, so it's, I mean, 2014, I made it to day 17, and like each day kind of gets more and more difficult. And there's always a part 1, and then there's a part 2. And part 1 is usually like relatively straightforward, and then sometimes part 2 will be like a very simple extension of what you did in part 1, and then sometimes part 2 will just completely blow up your approach in part 1, and you'll have to basically start all over. But it's just a fun activity. If you like code, you like solving problems, you like Christmas time, it's fun. Some people take it really seriously. There's leaderboards that like people compete to see like how quickly they can do it. Like people will solve it within like the first 30 minutes of the problem being released. So you only really get 24 hours to solve the problem if you want to get on the leaderboard. But if you're just doing it for fun, then you don't really have to worry about that. You just do the problems as you can. I'm super slow. Like sometimes the problems take me like 6 hours. So, but it's fun. It's a good time. Jake, why use Go? Why Go, not C++? Why did we decide to learn Go? I think I decided to learn Go when I saw that the TypeScript compiler was being rewritten in Go. And so that kind of piqued my interest of like, well, I know C#, I know TypeScript, I know JavaScript, I know Python. but you know, always fun to learn another language. So why not try Go? Why not C++ though? C++ just, I don't know, it's never come up. Never had a use for it or a need to learn it. What's up, Hunter? How are you, man? You made it. I know earlier today you were saying you were gonna try to stop by, so I appreciate it. Tolib says, what is your favorite programming language? I've answered this a couple different times on stream, but my favorite programming language at the moment, obviously there's so many languages out there and most of them I don't know. But of all the ones I do know, C# is my favorite. But if you told me I could only ever use one language again, I would pick TypeScript. And I can explain why that is, but that's where I'm at the moment in my language journey. I'm not really a big like operating system editor language war person. I think, you know, use the tools and the technologies you like and enjoy, and everybody wins that way. Tired of first finish the tour of Go in one pass, then move on to learn Go with tests. That's the most solid path to leveling up fast. Okay, so tour of Go. This guy right here. You think this is where I should start, Tired of? Arkin, thanks for the explanation. So I will do it for 2025. Yeah, I mean, no pressure, Arkin. Like, I mean, do it if you want to, but like, I just do it because it's fun. It's a nice change of pace. Like, if you spend all year building projects, working on your side projects, it's a nice place to like stop off at the end of the year and do some things that are a little bit more like data structure and algorithm. Data structure and algorithm-y, right? Like you'll almost inevitably have to implement some sort of breadth first search or depth first search. You know, that will come up again and again, usually in the problems. Like I think the A* algorithm comes up once a year, it seems like. So it's just this is fun. Russell, why not Bash? JK, yeah, why not Bash? Why not Rust? Why not Lisp? Yeah, the world is just so big, you know. There's so many technologies and not enough time to learn them all. Tired of says JavaScript isn't a real programming language. People are wasting time running lit garbage on the back end. Wow. I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, Tired of. I think JavaScript's a real programming language. I mean, JavaScript has eaten the world in a lot of ways. Talib, thanks. Good explanation. Well, thank you. I try to explain things decently well. Arkin, have you ever suffered programming language FOMO? I want to learn nearly 20 programming languages. I think everyone experiences FOMO to some extent. I think especially when you see like, I mean, AI, I think has created a lot of FOMO. I think though you have to remember that like, there's only so much time in the day. There's only so many years in your life. There's only so many things one person can do and be good at. And so you just have to be realistic in that way, right? We're not all Isaac Newton. You know, we can't change the world before we turn 25, right? That we're not, you know, so in fundamental ways. So you just have to do what you can with the time you're given. So no, I don't really have FOMO too much. I just try to focus on like it's very different though, Arkin. It all comes down to like if we're talking about just like doing this stuff because you enjoy it and you have fun, then there's no FOMO. But if you're talking about like trying to make yourself employable and have a job and stay relevant, right? Obviously, those are kind of different conversations. And I think FOMO is probably less of an issue in the first and maybe more of an issue in the latter, where FOMO could be like a signal of like, hey, if you're seeing a lot of people talking about a particular technology like MCP, then for professional reasons, you should probably go explore that, right? Just so that you have some knowledge of it and awareness of it. But if it's your free time, it's your hobby, you should do the things you enjoy and what you're excited about. Talib, I'm a Golang developer with 3+ years experience. I really recommend learn Go by Tour if you have experience already with other programming languages. Okay, so we've got two people who think that the tour of Go is where we should be. So we're in the right place. Sideway Elson, do you know u/Carl H? I don't even know what that is. Sideway Elson, I don't know who that is. Hello, Angry Peanut. Nice username. Angry Peanut. Tired of. So yeah, hit the tour of Go first. Then check the link I dropped above. You will love it, especially coming from a QA background. Oh, your link didn't come through, Tired of. Do you have a Are you in our Discord? Would you mind, I mean, you don't have to stay in the Discord, but would you mind joining the Discord and just dropping that link? Because I don't think it comes through on YouTube. But yeah, I definitely want to learn how to write tests for sure, if that's what your link is about. Russell, I had been doing PHP backends and JavaScript fronts, but I'm migrating everything to Node.js, even though I know PHP like the back of my hand. Node is just so much better for async. Does PHP not have an asynchronous paradigm? I'm not super familiar with PHP at all. Oh, just type learn go with tests. Learn go with tests. This guy right here? Is that what I want? Or do I want this one down here? Here, I'll use different colors. So we'll do red up here, green down here. Tell me which one's the right one. Tired of, or maybe it's neither of them. Harkin, thanks for clearing distinction as for job. Thankfully, I'm targeting a single language, but as a hobby, I just want to learn literally any STEM field. Yeah, STEM's awesome, man. Yeah, that's the one thing that's super nice about computers is like you can do that in your house, right? Like that's the one thing that I always struggled with. Biochemistry. That's what my degree is, and I loved my university days, but like you you can't really do biochemistry experiments in your house, right? It's not really a thing. To lib the green one. Oh, okay, very cool. Thank you very much, to lib. All right, so we'll start here. We'll go through this. We'll chat. We'll drink a little coffee. It's going to be a low-key type of stream. Sideway Elson, Carl H. was an infamous programmer on Reddit who helped people like you do. I can't go into much detail on the horrible things he did. I have no idea what this is. But I guess Sideway Elson, Sidway Elson, I'm kind of curious, like, why bring him up? Is it just to be for shock factor, I guess? Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what you're I guess what I'm getting is maybe he was a bad man and we shouldn't care about who he is. Ark, and I'm sipping my coffee right now. Nice. Okay. Well, here we go. Let's lock in. You can finish the tour of Go in one breath. Okay. All right. Let's finish the tour of Go in one breath. And I should say this isn't the first exposure I've had to Go. If you go back on the stream like a month or two ago, I did a bunch of web examples with Go, like, but I just feel like I need some if I'm gonna use it to solve admin of code, I need to solve problems with it so I get a feel for the language and like how you do things. Sidway Elson, I don't know, man. You just reminded me of him. Sorry, brother. I'll let you be. I reminded you of a really shitty dude. Okay, well, that's an awful way to make friends on the interwebs, I guess. Ton Tai Win. Hello, Go Lang. Ton, hello, Ton. Yes, we have Go. Go has reemerged on the stream. Tired of. I'd ask you to turn on dark mode. My only gripe with them is no syntax highlighting in the web editor. Yeah, dark mode would be great. They don't have syntax highlighting in the web editor. Why not? I wonder what they're using for the editor. Oh, they're using CodeMirror. Nice. CodeMirror is awesome. The guy that built CodeMirror, what's his name? He wrote a book. What's that book? Eloquent JavaScript. This is by the same guy who built CodeMirror. I don't even know how to say his name. Maringin? Haverbeck? I don't know. I don't know how to say his name. But this book is wonderful, and this dude is obviously a great JavaScript developer. Like, this is where like I kind of take issue. Sideway, no, just how nice he was at first. Oh, well, I do try to be nice, but I don't want to end up like however that guy ended up. But I do try to be nice. I try to interact with chat the same way I would interact with you guys if we were at a coffee shop and we were hanging out or we were at a meetup. I don't try to have like two different personas, one for the internet and one for real life. I have one persona and I try to show up everywhere with that same personality. Arc and Eloquent JavaScript is goated. Yes, it is goated. And what I was getting ready to say is, tired of was saying that JavaScript isn't a programming language. But if you listen to this guy talk about JavaScript and talk about in the context of building things and seen like CodeMirror is a great example of like, if JavaScript is not a programming language, like then what is CodeMirror? Like that library that he built is incredible. All right, let's do the first lesson here. The tour is divided into a list of modules that you can access by clicking on a tour of Go on the top left of the page. You can also view the table of contents, yada, yada, yada. You can navigate through them previous and next. The tour is interactive. Click the run button now to compile and run the program. Wonderful. When you click on format, yeah. Okay, when you're ready to move on, click the right arrow. Here we go, click the right arrow. I want to stay with the English. This tour is also available as a standalone program that you can use without access to the internet. It builds and runs the code samples on your own machine. To run the tour locally, you'll need to first install Go and then run. All right, we'll just stick with what's in the editor. Yeah. Okay, we got some issues. Okay, yeah, limits on execution time, on CPU, memory usage. Okay, we won't do anything crazy. Look at there, I finished the first module. Arc, an unpopular opinion, JavaScript is better high-level language than Python. Yeah, like I personally tell people to go learn JavaScript rather than Python, but that's purely in the context of like once you learn JavaScript, you can build whatever you want because it works on the client and it works on the server. But I think a lot of times it's contextual, right? It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? I think Russell actually said this in the Discord about how like sometimes the thing you're trying to build dictates the language you should use. And actually, Anders Halsberg talked about that when he was discussing on several different podcasts, because there was kind of a big hubbub that like Microsoft chose Go as the program to rewrite the TypeScript compiler in instead of using something like C#. And Anders kind of talks about like how the thing he wanted to build or the thing they wanted to do is what dictated what language they ended up using. So it's not necessarily always about like what is the best language. Sometimes it's just what's the best language for what we're trying to accomplish. Tired of. I read that book. The author's way too opinionated, especially about classes. Totally wrong take. Let's go. Well, so tired of. You don't ever use an object-oriented approach or use classes. It's always just functions upon functions upon functions. I liked his take on that book. I thought the book was wonderful. So it's interesting to see. It's always interesting in life, you know, people. So many people have such different takes about things, about the same thing. Arc in JavaScript is like Lisp without macros. Python is a procedural language cosplaying as an OOP language. Well, I would say procedural and OOP kind of go hand in hand, right? I kind of always think of like OOP and procedural together, and then I always think of like functional and declarative together, more than not. I don't know. I think Python's a nice blend. I think Python's kind of a nice blend where you can do functional things or you can do object-oriented things. JavaScript's the same way. C# is definitely much more object-oriented, but you can do you can write C# in a functional way, like if you want to. And there's a lot of features in C# that are very functional. When you think of like all the link methods. Okay, every Go program is made up of packages. Yes. Programs start running in package main. This program is using the packages with import pass format and math/random. By convention, the package name is the same as the last element of the import path. Hold on, wait. What does that mean? For instance, the math rand package comprises files that begin with the statement package rand. Is he basically just saying like, because this ends in rand, then the way we access the code in that package is typically using that word? Okay. Well, it's good to know the conventions. All right. This code groups the imports into a parenthesized factored import statement. You can also write multiple import statements like import format, import path, but it is good style to use the factored import statement. So this might be an unpopular opinion, but Tired of. You'll see Go is a procedural language, no classes at all. Once you learn it, you'll get where I'm coming from. Solid choice on Golang. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think I will enjoy Go. I've enjoyed what I've written so far. So, although here's what I was just getting ready to say is I was just getting ready to say that this to me is better than this. But I believe in sticking with conventions, so I'll just learn to deal with the factored approach. In Go, a name is exported if it begins with a capital letter. For example, pizza is an exported name, as is pie, which is exported from the math package. Pizza and pie do not start with a capital letter, so they are not exported. When importing a package, you can refer only to its exported names. Any unexported names are not accessible from outside the package. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's something I wasn't aware of. So that's why all these function calls have a Pascal case to them, is because in order for that thing to be accessible outside of itself, it has to be capitalized. Interesting. Okay, so this should be math.py. That never came up when I was going through all those Go web tutorials. No one stopped and touched on that. Arc and Go is manifestation of less is more in programming language design. Syntax of that ducker is simpler than C. Oh, interesting. Well, I will say there's been, when I was going through the web tutorial stuff, there was a lot of things that I was bringing in packages to do that I was kind of like, why do I have to bring in packages to do this? But I guess that kind of makes sense, right? If Go is trying to be, as a language, is trying to be as minimal as possible as kind of what's in the box to begin with, I guess that kind of makes sense. The linter and formatter won't let you use to import keywords anyway, so just get used to the uglier way. Okay, fair enough. I can get used to the uglier way. A function can take 0 or more arguments. In this example, add takes 2 parameters of type int. Fair enough. Although this also always bugs me too, coming from the C# world, is I always think of types going on the left versus type declarations going on the right. But this is much more like TypeScript, right? So it's not too foreign to me. Notice that the type comes after the variable name. Yes, I do notice that. When 2 or more consecutive named function parameters share a type, you can omit the type from all but the last. Oh, that's handy. Although I think stylistically, I kind of like just always having it. I think stylistically, I don't think I would do that very often unless someone made me. A function can return any number of results. The swap function returns 2 strings. So what, can you just also, so I can just arbitrarily return things off of this? And they're just positional? Oh, because I need to type that? There we go. Okay. That's nice. Go's return values may be named, so if so, they are treated as variables defined at the top of the function. What? Go's return values may be named. Oh, I see what you mean. So this is where I'm naming the return value. And then I assign to them and then I return. And so that implicitly means you're getting back X and Y. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if I like that. Huh. I mean, I think the naming is nice, but I feel like I should still have to do this. Which I guess that works, but yeah. I don't know. These are all things you kind of pick up on, like if you've written code before, right? You kind of carry with you some preconceived thoughts about what's more readable than something else, right? I don't know. You kind of develop your own tastes. Naked return statements should be used only in short functions, as with the example shown here. They can harm readability in longer functions. LOL. That's funny. I literally just got done saying that. Excuse me. Fly Fisha. Yo, have a good night, man. Just stopping by. Whoa, Fly Fisha. Thanks for stopping in, man. You have a great night. Don't think of those as packages. Simply consider them standard library. Also, the idea of simple language plus comprehensive standard lib is the best language design choice in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just I like I said, my favorite language is C#, and one of the wonderful things about C# is like it has a bunch of very robust packages, right, that just come out of the box that do a whole hell of a lot. But obviously, when you're learning something new, you don't want to compare it to something you already know too much. I mean, I think it helps you to build a mental model, but you don't want to judge one thing by comparing it to something else. It's not really fair. The var statement declares a list of variables, as in function argument list. The type is last. A var statement can be at package or function level. We see both in this example. Fair enough. A var declaration can include initializers, one per variable. If an initializer is present, the type can be omitted. The variable will take the type of the initializer. Okay. I don't know. I don't like this. Like, JavaScript kind of has a similar thing, right? Where you can declare multiple variables, right, in one single statement. I don't know how big of a fan I am of it. I don't know. I don't find this very readable and more difficult to reason about. Inside a function, the short assignment statement can be used in place of a var declaration with implicit type. Very handy. Outside a function, every statement begins with a keyword. Oh, so you can't do this. Okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that. So you'd have to do var a equals 1. Okay. Good to know. Go's basic types are bool, string, ints, and they're unsigned. Bytes, which is a unsigned 8-byte int rune. Why do they have a special name for rune? That's kind of interesting. Float. Okay, complex 64, complex 128. What the heck are those? Oh, that's interesting. The example, hold on. Variable declarations may be factored into blocks as with import statements. So why would you want to do this? What's the benefit? Variables declared without an explicit initial value are given their zero value. 0 for numeric types, false for Boolean type, and empty strings for strings. Well, that's wonderful. Strings aren't null by default. I like that. The expression tv converts the value t to the type t. Some numeric conversions. Unlike in C, in Go, assignment between items of different type requires an explicit conversion. Try removing the float64 or uint conversions in the example and see what happens. Oh, because this is a float, and now I'm explicitly casting it to an unsigned int. But if I don't explicitly cast it, it won't implicitly cast it. Okay, I think that's probably safe. I think explicit casting is probably better than implicit. Rohith, you're learning Go now? So I started learning Go like a month and a half ago, and I just haven't come back to it. We've just been working on other things. But today I was looking at the calendar, and I see that it's June, which means I have about 5 months to get proficient enough with Go that I can try to do advent of code using it. So when I signed on to stream tonight, I thought, why not try Go, you know? Like, not why not try Go, why not do some Go, you know? I'm a vibe streamer. You know how everybody's like a vibe coder now? I'm a vibe streamer. I do whatever feels fun. When declaring a variable without specifying an explicit type, the variable's type is inferred from value on the right-hand side. But when the right-hand side contains an untyped numeric constant, the new variable may be an int float64 or a complex 128, depending on the precision of the constant. Try changing the initial value of v in the example above and observe how its type is reflected. So if we run this with 42, that's going to be an int. But if I drop a decimal in there, it's going to be a float. What happens if I add I? Then it's a complex type. Okay. I don't understand what is complex. That they haven't really explained that. In Go, complex 128 is a built-in data type that represents complex numbers with 128 bits of precision. It's composed of two 64-bit floating point numbers, one for the real part and one for the imaginary part. Oh, so this just allows you to have more precision if you have need for that. So then do people use Go for, I mean, Tired of might know, other people here might know too, but do people use Go for doing like math heavy or statistics heavy type of workloads. I mean, most people seem to use Python for that type of stuff, but it seems like the fact that Go supports that level of precision, you could use it for that type of stuff. Rohith, so you use Bitwarden, I use 1Password. Yeah, I do use Bitwarden. So I did use for the longest time I used what's that other company? LastPass. And then they had like 6 data not 6. They had like 3 data breaches in like a 2-year span. And so I switched to Bitwarden. I've heard good things about 1Password. Bitwarden's pretty cool because it's open source and it's also built on .NET, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. So those were 2 of the reasons why I picked it. And obviously they have a browser extension and they have, they have a mobile app. They have all the different kinds of ways you would want to be able to access your password manager. Okay, constants are declared like variables, but with the const keyword. Constants can be character, string, Boolean, or numeric values. Constants cannot be declared using the, what do they call this? The shorthand assignment operator. So this is an example of a constant, and it has a capital. So technically this would be accessible outside of the constants module, right? Okay. I'm following. I think I'm following. Tired of. It's from math complex numbers, but they don't really use Go for heavy number crunching. Not sure why it supports math so much. Maybe it's just a well-rounded lang. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, but that's cool, right? I mean, no one likes JavaScript because it gets really weird when you get when you start trying to do precise number crunching. Real penguin, you got nice eyes. Well, thank you. I've always been told ever since I was a little kid that I have very large round eyes. So thank you. I am not diabetic though. Is there something about me that makes you think I might be diabetic? I hope I've never become diabetic. I'm going to work very hard to avoid type 2 diabetes. Numeric constants are high precision values. An untyped constant takes the type needed by its context. Try printing need int big 2. Create a number by shifting a 1 bit left 100 places. In other words, the binary number that is 1 followed by 100 zeros. Wow, yeah, it can handle a lot of precision, huh? Okay, well, that's good to know. You finished the lesson. You can go back to the list of modules to find what to learn next or continue with the next lesson. So how do I know where I'm at with the lessons? Oh, I'm here. I've got this. Tired of. You said I could do this in one breath. There's quite a bit here, man. But I guess I could probably speed run it a little bit, huh? I don't probably need to read all of it. Real penguin. No, I'm just asking. Sorry. Huh? It's just a super random question, right? Like, it's like if we were to meet in person and you were to say, "Hey, you got nice eyes. Are you diabetic?" Right? It's just a strange way to greet another human being, but. All right. I don't know if I'm gonna do any more Go at the moment. I'm gonna stop here. We didn't really write any Go, but we're making progress. What do we want to do now? Let's try to make our React app look pretty for a little bit. I don't know. Should we do React stuff or should we do C# stuff? I don't know. Let's do React stuff. Localhost 5173. All right, this is where I'm currently at with my books. I'm here. Which I don't know if this is like a nice design, but this is where I landed. So the placeholder images will eventually be filled in with actual book covers. It's also responsive, which is nice. Tom, do some curl converter with curl. What's curl converter? Curl converter? Convert curl commands to code. This is kind of cool. I didn't know this existed. Although this is not how quite I would do this in C# myself, but yeah, this is one way to do it. Let's see how they do it with JavaScript. There's fetch. I mean, who does XHR? Does anybody use this API anymore? If you write JavaScript, I want to hear from you if you actually use this API anymore. I guess you do have to use this API if you want to report on progress, like upload progress, because I don't think fetch supports that, does it? And then good old jQuery. Tired of, don't worry, it's all small bites. I don't know why you gave up right away. You can easily complete the entire tour of Go in an hour. Oh, I'm not giving up. Tired of, very disappointed. Well, tired of. If I was very concerned with what random people thought of me on the internet, I probably shouldn't stream. So you will have to carry your disappointment alone. I didn't give up. I just decided to do something different. I've been streaming for an hour and 14 minutes now, and I'd like to do something other than learn Go. Yeah. Russell, I think I used XHR when I was streaming AI responses back using PHP on the back end, but switched up to WebSockets. No more XHR. Yeah. I think XHR, if you want to like report on file upload progress, I think you have to use that API. I don't think fetch supports doing like file upload progress. If I remember right. But I mean, fetch is a nice API. WebSockets are great too. I like WebSockets. I think for AI stuff, server sent events are pretty slick. And the browser has a nice way to do that now with the event source, I think is the name of it. Yeah. Although you do have this like maximum number of open connections thing. So you almost, if you're going to use a server send events, you almost all have to use some sort of like worker, because you're probably going to want to share that connection across tabs in the browser. But yeah, I think the server send events are a nice way to handle AI chat like responses. But WebSockets are good too. WebSockets are fine as well. I just think of WebSockets as like using WebSockets whenever you need the server, like the client and server, to notify each other back and forth. Which I guess in the context of a chat app is a proper use case. But yeah. Maybe server send events would be better for like push notifications in your app, right? That'd be a good example of where to use server send events, because the client doesn't really need to send anything, but you want to have like a persistent listener, right, to the server. I don't know what the heck we were doing. We were gonna do React Router stuff, and then Don said something about curl converter. I don't know why we landed on curlconverter.com. Okay, so this is fine for now. I don't have an issue with the way this looks. I have some other pages I need to figure out, like my add book page. This is not what is it, Shad CN level design here. So I should probably pretty this up a little bit. I also want to change what we ask for when we add. So the idea I have right now is whenever we add a book, the idea I have right now is you'll add a book and you're either going to provide one of two things. You're going to provide either title, or you're going to provide, what's the ISBN, I think is the how do I type here? Yeah, there we go. Or, right? So you provide one of these two. And then what we'll do is on add, we'll try to look up the book. We'll try to look up the book using Google's Google Book, the Google Book API. And then we'll pre-populate the rest of the information. So we'll pre-populate the author if we can find it. We'll pre-populate a description. We'll pre-populate what else? Description, the author, the cover image, maybe some other stuff. And then obviously people can edit it if they want to. Like people will be able to change it after the fact. I shouldn't say people, because I'm not really building this app for other people. I'm really just building it for myself to figure out how to learn React Router. Okay, let's just focus on styling this form a little bit before I hang up for the night. Neovim. Russell, I've only used servers and events in MPC servers, but I think that's a fallback now to the streamable HTTP transport. I would like to see a WebSocket transport included in the MCP SDK. I could see that being useful. I'm sure they'll keep building out transports as long as people, continue to use it and adopt it, right? Tired of. You must have ADHD. It doesn't hold you back. You got to jump from topic to topic. I get it completely, especially with multiple distractions. Finishing stuff is damn hard sometimes. I don't really have ADHD. Yeah, like I don't have a problem with focusing on one thing. If I start something, I'm going to complete it. But obviously for like the purposes of having a live stream, sometimes I just don't want to always do the same thing on stream. So usually like after I get off stream, I'll go work on my stuff, right? Like I'll do like deep concentrated work. But like if you're gonna stream and interact with chat, it doesn't really make sense to try to do like deep, meaningful, concentrated work. You know, like if you need to get some shit done, you probably shouldn't stream while you try to get the shit done. In my opinion. Especially I only stream for like an hour or 2 hours at a time. Maybe if I streamed for 8 hours at a time, it would be different, but I don't know. I'm just here to have fun, man. All right. So I guess first things first, we should probably put a little bit of padding around this guy, huh? Probably more than that. I honestly would prefer this to not be a separate page, but more like a modal. So maybe I'll do that at some point. Okay, let's style the button. And let's make that a similar style to what we did on the index page. Okay, that's too square. It's too square. So let's make, let's see, PX. Let's make this 1. Yeah, that's better. I should probably do that here too. Let's make, do PY1. This is where all the cool kids nowadays just use what is it, V0? All the cool kids use V0 to do this type of stuff. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, add book. Add. We need some spacing in between these fields, and I also think or the labels and the fields. I also think I want these to stack. So let's do. We'll do class name equals flex. I can't stop yawning. We should also make the labels bold, just to make them stand out a little bit. Okay, that's way too much. That's way too much padding. Or way too much of a gap. So this should just be like 1, 1, And then the form should apply some sort of a, let's see, flex column, and here we'll do a gap of 2. We'll see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that better. Although I think the form should have like a different, like you don't even know there's a field there. Also, there should be some padding on the input. So, class name equals P1. No, P2. Let's start with P2. Same thing here. This is where Tailwind becomes a little bit repetitive to me. Like I almost feel like this is a good example where personally, you know, why not just have like in this why not just have like a form group, right? Why not just have form group? I mean, I know why, because we're using a utility first framework, but yeah, there's parts of me that sometimes I think I'm not sure I like that repetitiveness. But I also can hear someone screaming into the I can also hear someone screaming into the chat. Yeah, Steven, but you could make this into a component, right? Like I hear somebody saying, yeah, but you could have this whole thing, this could be a form group component, right? And then you don't have the repetitive class here and the repetitive font here. So yeah, I do understand the critique. That's better. I think there's too much padding on top. So can we do px2 py1? I get so hung up on the stupidest shit when I'm doing front end stuff. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, and then I don't know if I like the form goes all the way across the page. That kind of looks dumb on a really big screen. So there's probably like a max width that I want on these inputs. Or I guess I could just have a max width for the form too. I don't know. I won't do that. I won't worry about that now. So what I want to do, I want to change the background of this. So let's make the background of these inputs be something that shows up off the page. Kind of like on this site that I built. Let's see. So even like this search box, I kind of like that there's a contrast between the background and the background of the input and the background of the element that contains it. But I also kind of like the subtle border too. So let's see if we can recreate that similar type of appeal here. I am not a UX designer by any means. Lee Child. I think the emoji you posted in the chat is someone chugging coffee. Is that what that is? If so, yes. Bottoms up. Bottoms up indeed. Although I'm actually out of espresso at the moment. Okay, so what if we use this color, the same color for the input background? What is that color? That color is BJ BG Gray 700. BG Gray. Let's see, background is BG Gray 700. BG Gray 700. And then maybe we add a border. Add a book. That's better. They should also have. We should also have some border radius. Also, yes, we are going to develop this to only be dark mode. There's no reason to create a a website that has light mode, right? Like, I always think that too, because like you see sites that have the light mode, dark mode toggle, and it's just like, who wants to blow their eyes out with light mode anyways? There'll be somebody in the chat that's like, light mode is goated. Not I. Not I, Sam I am. What font you rocking? The font I'm using is Cascadia Code. It's a nerd font. It's this one. Cascadia. This one right here. Red. That's the font I have. I pretty much use that font everywhere. And then the theme you hit right on the head. It's GitHub. It's GitHub dark mode, but it's GitHub dark mode dimmed. Yeah, it's let's see. Although there are a lot of pretty NeoVim themes to work with. Capuchin is a nice one. Dark Horizon's nice too. That's a really nice one. But yeah, it's a GitHub dark dimmed is what the one I'm using currently. I kind of switch it up every so often. Like I get bored and I want to change it, so I do. Russell, people who use light mode scare me. Yes, we should question those who use light mode. We should be leery of those who use light mode. All right, let's slap a. Okay, so we say rounded small. Yeah. And then rounded small, and then I think I'm gonna try to do a border, and then border gray, and let's try to do should it be darker or light? I think it should be darker. So let's try 800. See what that looks like with the border. You can't really tell it's even there, can you? What did I write? I don't know if I wrote that out. Yeah, you can't really tell that's there. Also, people, if you are in... Okay, so this is something I did early on when I was building websites. Like the first, like, if you can go find websites that I have built where, for whatever reason, it really bothered me having this focus ring or this focus outline. However, as I've gotten deeper into like my exposure to programming and web development, and as I've become more of a keyboard centric user, now I understand why inputs have this, right? Is so that you can tab and you can know what the heck you're on if you're a keyboard user. And so it always bugs the crap out of me now whenever I see sites that don't have that functionality. I mean, it's there by default in browsers, right? So you have to go out of your way to remove it. But yeah, when it's not available, it really bugs me. Because you're like trying to navigate through a form and you're like, where the heck is my focus at the moment? Okay, I put a border on here, but I can't tell that it's there, so that bothers me. Let's add border, just border white. What's that look like? Yeah, I don't think I want it to be white. I get so hung up on stupid shit. Let's see. What's 950 look like? That's like a real dark gray, right? Yeah, it blends in too much with the background. Or I mean, it blends in too much with the input's background. So, what is the BG gray 950? Huh. Maybe I do leave it white. I'm not a UX designer, okay? Give me a break. Alright, we'll just do white. And what if we do a different opacity? What does that look like? Good suggestion, Copilot. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's more of what I was going for. It's just a very subtle border. Okay, I like that. Thank you, Copilot. Okay. I think that form looks pretty now. Does the button feel like it's too close to the... Yeah, I kind of feel like the button is too close to this. So maybe we just throw a little margin T1, or maybe margin T2. What's that do? There we go. Just push that button down just ever so slightly. Also, this should have how do I make it so that the button has a cursor? Pointer. Cursor. There we go. Cursor pointer. I think that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. Cool. Go add book. Yeah, I think that's decent. We've made the ad form pretty. Look at us. Make ad form look pretty. Tired of use pointer. Yes, you were on it. Tired of, you're right, but the focus style is straight up ugly as hell by default. Gotta clean that mess up so it feels smooth and not like total garbage when focused. Yeah, maybe that's why I took such issue with it early on when I was building websites. Is I thought the focus was ugly, but now looking back, I just kick myself because I'm like, why did you do that? You shouldn't do that. And now when I interact with websites where I can't like tab through a form, it really bugs me. It's funny, you don't realize how much thought goes into all the things you use until you start to try to build it yourself, and then you're like, wow, somebody had to take the time to think about every single thing. You know, and everything in the world is like that, right? Every object you interact with every day, it's like somebody took the time to think about what that thing should be and how it should behave and how it should not behave and what it should do and what it shouldn't do. And you just kind of take it all for granted. Or at least I know I do from time to time. All right, y'all. An hour and 41 minutes is a pretty good stream for me. I think I'm gonna sign off here and go enjoy what's left of my Thursday night. But I'll be back. I'll be back again tomorrow, likely. It'll probably be another evening stream. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, keeping me company. Very kind of you. If you want to interact or hang out or chat or talk outside of streams, Discord is the best place to find us. And when I say us, I mean find me and find the rest of chat. And otherwise, you'll just have to come on back for another stream or hang out in the comments of a video or a short. All right, y'all. You guys have a good night. Arkin, have a good night. Russell, have a good night. Tired of. Thanks for all your help with the Go stuff. Appreciate you. Lee Child, if you're still here, have a good night. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Bye.